I've been dreading to make this class analysis for a long time because there's way too many guards. But here we are. It's guard class analysis time. Alright, what's on the to-do list today, Amiya? Nothing? Huh. If that's the case, I might just go do my hobbies then. You wanna come along? Sure. Alright, so first up on our list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 of these. 10 guard branches is lords, but the community usually refers to this branch as ranged guards. It's the most recognizable branch with ops like Silverash, Thorns, Lapland, Aerscarp, and so on. It's also the most well-rounded branch with a decent amount of HP, attack, and defense. What makes them special is their range and their ability to launch ranged attacks that deal 80% damage to enemies they aren't blocking. The ranged attacks can also hit drones, so you can use lords to get anti-air coverage in spots where ranged operators can't get to. Their range gives them a lot of versatility, letting them hit over walls and behind defender operators. They can block too, which actually comes in handy for a lot of situations compared to a lot of the other branches that can only block one. Because of the well-rounded stats and block count, range guards can be used on just about any map. Most range guards have a skill that treats their attacks as melee, removing that reduced damage they do on ranged attacks. I said most range guards, by the way. Moment of silence for our girl, Frostleaf. Next are Dreadnought Guards or Duelist Guards. Operators in this branch include Guard Scotty, Nerlalter, Franka, Flamebringer, Conviction, Matumaru, and Melantha. These guys have extremely high amounts of attack and HP but can only block one enemy. Even though their HP pool is massive, their defense stat is pretty low for a melee operator, meaning they'll take a lot of damage, so if you want to keep them on the field, they'll need to be near a healing source. Their defense stat is actually so low that the only ones that can survive an Arc buff are the 6-star variants and Franka. Dreadnought Guards are mainly used to 1v1 the big scary elite enemies because of their high HP and attack, but they're kinda not good at this unless you're Scotty or Nerlalter. Centurion Guards, also known as AoE Guards, are mainly used for general mobbing. These operators can hit a number of enemies equal to their block count. They all start with 2 block until you promote them to E2, at which they'll get their 3rd block count, which is extremely useful since it's a potential 50% DPS increase. Despite having a short range consisting only of a single tile in front of them, they make great lane holders that can mow down low and medium defense enemies with ease, letting you focus your attention to the more threatening enemies. Operators in this branch include Gavial Altar, Blaze, Spectre, Broca, Savage, Estelle, and Popcar. Arts Guards, officially known as Arts Fighters, deal arts damage with their attacks. It's in the name, yeah, you get it. This branch features Levantine Woman, Knife Mia, Astasia, Sidroka, and Moose. They all have a single block, meaning they can't hold a lane by themselves and will probably need someone to help block enemies. Other than that, they have pretty average attack, defense, and HP stats for a guard. These guys are good for taking care of high defense enemies in places your casters can't reach. The Swordmaster branch sounds pretty cool until you realize some of the operators in this branch don't even use swords. Irene, Chen Awesome, Tachanka, Bitebeak, and Cutter are all operators part of this branch. Their basic attacks hit twice, letting them shred low and medium defense enemies, but because their basics hit twice, they lose against defense more than other physical damage ops. All Swordmaster skills are instant burst skills and have offensive SP recovery, meaning they're forced to hit enemies in order to charge their skills, which is usually considered a downside in most cases. However, all their skills are some form of attack scale, which means buffs work well on these operators. You know, I've caught quite a few fish in my time. Massive ones too. I wish I was joking when I said they were massive. I had to call the Fish Squad to get rid of that eldritch abomination. Oh shoot, I caught something. What is this doing here? Fighters, which are also called brawlers, punch really fast. Like, really fast. And no, we're not going to make any JoJo meme for this segment. They can block a single enemy and have a single tile of range, but they have a relatively low attack stat due to their fast attack interval, so they can struggle with even medium defense enemies. All brawlers come with a talent that gives them some form of dodge. One thing special about fighters is that they're really cheap, costing around the 10 DP mark, meaning you can easily start maps with them. Operators in this archetype include Mountain Flint, Indra, Bee Hunter, and Jackie. Instructors are, they're not used a lot. Their talents usually have some sort of buff to a specific set of operators. Unlike the rest of the guards, this branch has a whole 2 tiles ahead of them as range instead of 1. They have less HP than the other guards, but make up for it with the higher than average defense. The combination of these 3 traits makes them perfect for sitting behind a tankier operator, buffing them, while also smacking enemies from a safe distance. And no, they can't hit drones. Their attack interval is slightly faster than the other branches, taking around 1 second per attack. Palace, Whislash, Swire, and Doberman are all part of this branch. The Musha branch was the first cool guard archetype. Their trait makes it so that they can't be healed by ally attacks. Yes, ally attacks. This means passive healing still works on them, but most of the time you wouldn't really want to heal them because of their first talent, which gives the operator more attack speed the lower their HP is. Healing Mushas means they get less attack speed, which means they do less damage, and you don't want less damage. This balancing act is a bit finicky because when they're 1v1ing threatening enemies, Mushas can get killed if their HP is too high or low. It doesn't really matter that much in general content though, because the stats of enmity guards are cracked with extremely high HP, above average attack, and an average amount of defense, which makes sense because they kinda have to survive by themselves. Halagur, Akafuyu, and Utage are the only operators in this archetype. Liberators sit around and do nothing for the entire map duration until you activate their skill. Then they go sicko mode. They have 0 block off skill and 2 block on skill, which makes them a little tricky to use when they're at their skill downtime. They have a very low attack, but their trait makes up for it, which increases their attack linearly over the span of 40 seconds. At max stacks, Liberators will have 3 times their base attack, and all their skills are attack scale, so they can do map sweeps like a funny alternative Silver Ash. Despite the low attack, these operators can tank attacks really well with high defense and a bit of arts resistance. Liberators have talents that reflect damage when they're attacked off skill. They're also very cheap to deploy, only costing around 11 DP. There are only 2 Liberators right now, which are Millionaire and Tequila. Reapers have a quirky range compared to the rest of the guard branches. Even though the range is a bit weird, the width can help support adjacent lanes. These operators aren't healable through ally attacks, but just like Mushas, they can still be healed through passive healing, which I assume you know what is the difference between passive and active healing already. Reapers are less punished for being healed though compared to Mushas because their damage isn't tied to their HP. They attack all enemies in their range and heal themselves for every enemy hit in their range up to their block count, which is only 2. The only thing noteworthy about Reapers stat-wise is that they have above average defense, but again, that comes with being an enmity operator, so it isn't too surprising. Just like with Liberators, there are only 2 Reaper operators, La Pluma and that new one that comes with IS-3. No, I'm not selling the Fumo, you can have it, it just might be a little wet. You should probably get it cleaned. Is this why you keep having to buy new Fumos? This one's different? How? It gives off a different aura? What?